Est, fréquence 12 333, symbol rate 30 000, polarité verticale. For You Télévision est également disponible sur les bouquets Créolink Suicom, Star Times, sur nos différentes plateformes numériques et sur l'application For You Media, téléchargeable sur Play Store. En bonus, profitez de la pertinence de nos sujets d'actualité et de l'interactivité de toutes nos émissions. Participez par appel WhatsApp au +237 693 589 668. Sur Skype, For You TV. For You Télévision, votre nouvelle chaîne panafricaine qui vous offre une autre vision du monde.
On our health page, the African Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Africa CDC, says the continent's 1.3 billion people still do not have a single dose of the monkeypox vaccine, and discussions are underway. Equally in Cameroon, the government of the country has dismissed over 1,000 student military officials in its latest recruitment process due to fake certificates. Hello Africa and the world, this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast over For You television with Minjix Nabise for presentation. To kick off today's newscast, we shall talk to you about health. On the African continent, we are calling to the Africa Center for Disease Control, Africa CDC. The continent of 1.3 billion people still does not have a single dose of the monkeypox vaccine, a critical situation where discussions are actually underway with at least 2 partners involved. Forth so with the rest of that story.
More monkeypox deaths have been reported on the African continent this year than anywhere in the world. The African Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, says the continent lacks enough diagnostic resources for thorough testing. Ahmed Ogwell, director of CDC.
When we look at the African continent, we see that cumulatively from the beginning of this year, we have documented 2,947 cases in 11 African countries, with a case fatality rate of 3.5%, having reported 104 deaths during this period.
The African Public Health Agency says the continent of 1.3 billion people still does not have a single dose of monkeypox vaccine, but discussions were on the way with at least 2 partners.
To date, there are no vaccines that we have received as Africa for monkeypox, though we continue to engage with relevant institutions and our partners across the world to try and get monkeypox vaccines here to the continent.
Clinical trials is on the way in Congo for a vaccine Genius that is under emergency use authorization. The 2-dose vaccine is considered the main medical weapon against the disease, but its availability is limited.
We leave from one topic to the next to take you to Somalia, where over 1 million Somalians have been displaced from their homes in the country due to drought. The country is facing the worst drought in more than 40 years after 4 failed rainy seasons in recent years, leaving crops and livestock damaged. Details with Mwanze Joyogo.
According to the UN Refugee Agency and the Norwegian Refugee Council, about 1 million Somalians have fled their homes due to droughts. Somalia and its neighbors in the Horn of Africa, including Ethiopia and Kenya, are facing the worst drought in more than 40 years after 4 failed rainy seasons that have ravaged crops and livestock. The number of people facing crisis hunger levels in Somalia is expected to rise from 5 million to more than 7 million in the coming months, worsened by climate change and rising food prices. According to Mohamed Abdi, the country's Norwegian Refugee Council director, due to starvation, many families are forced to leave everything behind as there is no food left in the villages. Conflict-torn Somalia is particularly ill-equipped to cope with the situation, with the grinding Islamist insurgency limiting humanitarian access to parts of the country.
Egypt's cabinet on Thursday, August 11, 2022 approved a plan to ration electricity in order to save natural gas that it would divert to the export market so as to generate foreign currency. Take a listen to this report.
Egypt's cabinet has approved a plan to ration electricity supply to save natural gas that it would divert to the export market in order to generate foreign currency, it announced on Thursday, August 11. In recent times, Egypt has suffered from an acute foreign currency shortage since Russia's February invasion of Ukraine, which escalated global commodity prices, led to the collapse of tourism from the two countries, and skyrocketed the cost of borrowing. Under the draft plan, according to the cabinet, shops and malls will have to limit the use of strong lights and keep their air conditioning at no cooler than 25 degrees Celsius. Ministries and government facilities will have to turn off lighting at the end of working hours, the statement added. Street lighting will also be reduced, a move which analysts fear could spiral insecurity in the North African country. Let's recall that the government last month postponed a planned increase in electricity prices by 6 months. Higher prices would have been intensely unpopular amongst the population that over the last few years have endured a series of harsh restraint measures from the part of the government. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli said the government hoped to reduce the amount of gas used to generate electricity by 15%. He highlighted that domestic power plants bought the natural gas at 1/10 the price it would fetch on international markets. Europe has been seeking alternative sources of gas to curb its reliance on Russian gas as the war in Ukraine escalates. Some time ago, Dr. Wakuwami Adesina of the African Development Bank urged African countries to take that to their advantage, and Nigeria took the golden opportunity. Now Egypt is on the list. Rapid growth in Egypt's natural gas supplies, boosted by the discovery of the Mediterranean's largest field, turned it from a net importer to an exporter in late 2018, with the country exporting 9.45 million cubic meters of liquid natural gas in the first 7 months of 2022.
We stay in North Africa, where thousands of Sudanese took to the streets on August 11 to protest for better living conditions and an end to the transitional government in place, as Sudan has been ruled by military government for 53 years. Details on this report compared to us by Mwanze Joyogo.
A large number of Sudanese demonstrators took to the streets of the capital city, Khartoum, on August 11 to demand better living conditions and an end to the present transitional government in place. Few weeks back, Army Chief Abdel Fattah Burhan communicated to the public that the military government in place will soon step aside and make way for a civilian government. However, many civilians view it as a ploy.
I see these initiatives as trying to divert people away from the effort that the resistance committees have been doing throughout these past months. The committees have put together charters, even committees in the regions. The main solution is for all political forces to gather around the charters prepared by the committees, support it, and the committees become the leaders of any initiative to go forward. Any of these initiatives does not represent us as resistance committees in any way. We put these people in the lead to bring us justice, and none of them did, and we will only bring justice through the streets.
Recently, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, the deputy army chief, revealed that last October's coup had failed to bring about a change in Sudan. Military crackdowns on weekly protests have so far killed 116 people, according to pro-democracy medics.
Let's leave North Africa to take you to the eastern part of the African continent, on to Kenya, where supporters of Raila Odinga on Thursday in Kibra district in Nairobi exercised impatience as they awaited the results of the August 9 elections as votes were being counted. Details are with our student journalist Ewane Epole.
Impatience is what characterizes Kenyans as they wait for the results of the August 9th elections. The Electoral Commission has published the minutes of the polling station that it has counted in drips and drops, and with each announcement, the supporters of the two main candidates, Raila Odinga and William Ruto, project themselves. Raila Odinga's Orange Democratic Movement (ODM) candidate, Peter Orero, on Thursday 11, 2022, was elected Member of the Parliament for Kibra constituency, southwest of Nairobi. At the main ballot sorting center, Peter Orero declares that he will not let down his guards, for it is his duty to go and protect these votes at the Bomas of Kenya.
So it is my duty to go and protect his votes at Bomas of Kenya. We don't want any monkey business at the Bomas of Kenya. That is why the Kibra people are going to see his votes being tallied at Bomas of Kenya.
He added that they don't want any scheming around. As such, people of Kibra are going to have their votes counted in their center. Authorities report that about 18,000 local and international observers will be deployed in the territory to monitor the count of votes. The local media equally indicates that the presidential score is very high at the moment. However, voters are worried and full of hopes. Such is the case of one of the sympathizers of Raila Odinga, who thinks the country will be internationally prosperous if Mr. Raila emerges to power as president. In the aftermath of these elections, for which Kenyans were voting for their local representatives, members of parliament and presidents, Kenyans were warned by observers and human rights groups against the increase of false information disseminated on social media. The Commission has until August 15th to announce the final results.
Thank you, Ewane Epole, for that report. From one region to the next, we leave East Africa to take you to Central Africa, precisely Cameroon, where the government of the country has announced its dismissal of over 1,000 student military officials in its last recruitment process. Our reporter Tekewana in the upcoming report says this move is a clear indication that the government of the country and the military corps is indeed a very safe garden as well as a discipline unit. His report.
There is growing love and admiration in the defense and security profession in Cameroon over the years, simply because of the amount of respect the corps commands in the society, and not usually the genuine love to serve the fatherland, though usually more than the required number to be recruited doubles and even triples. For example, in the exercise of the recruitment of 2,000 commandos into the Rapid Intervention Battalion B, a total of 12,000 candidates were registered, and for the recruitment into the military from the rank of cadet officers at EMIA, close to 122,000 Cameroonians got registered into the contest for a spot in the corps against just 13,000 places. Such patriotism is quite encouraging but dangerous and questionable in the military ethics and governance in Cameroon. However, the army has for over the years established for herself an age-old reputation and tradition built on exemplary behavior. It explains why most of Cameroon's finest roads and structures are built by the military engineering corps, talk less of its health services in the country, which unarguably, till date, has got no rival. Nonetheless, for the state to maintain the same momentum, it will be therefore unfair and detrimental for the same army to entrust the protection of our population and their properties, as well as the preservation of the national integrity of the nation, in the hands of cheats and persons of doubtful character. By fishing out over 1,000 candidates, with fake certificates in its competitive entrance examination process, it is a clear indication that officials in the defense and security spectrum in the country are poised to render the recruitment process in the core a more degree of credibility where nothing is left to chance to avoid a situation of garbage in, garbage out. It is therefore a testimony that the military corps in Cameroon is determined like never before as a disciplined and safeguarding unit, ready to serve the nation at all times with dignity and loyalty.
We stay in the country where government troops have been accused by the Human Rights Watch of killing at least 10 people and unlawfully detaining others in the northwest region of the country between April 24th and June 12, 2022. Find out the government's reaction to these allegations in the detailed report compiled to us by Moni Manu.
According to the Human Rights Watch, in a report published on Thursday, at least 10 people were summarily executed by government troops in the northwest region of Cameroon. These abuses and other abuses still attributed to the Cameroonian armed forces were allegedly committed between April 24 and June 12 during an operation against English-speaking separatists active in the region. The loyalist forces are also accused of having arbitrarily detained at least 26 people and forcibly disappeared up to 17 others. They are also accused of having burnt down houses, destroyed and looted health facilities. The Cameroonian authorities have not yet responded to these accusations. The Anglophone crisis that has been raging in the northwestern Cameroon since 2017 has already killed more than 6,000 people and displaced around 1 million people according to the International Crisis Group. This crisis was ranked third in June 2022 by the Norwegian Refugee Council on its list of the world's 10 most neglected displacement crises.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for the 6 p.m. primetime newscast over 4U television. I have been Jackson Nabuse at the anchor. Of course, stay in company of our programs. We look forward to l'actualité coming up shortly.
Qui cherche la paix ne se lasse jamais. La paix et la réconciliation nationale ont des prix et des sacrifices à consentir. Le